founder of Turn Left Media. I love the way you do that. Curtis Daly.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
And
good
hello,
to see you
how you
again.
doing?
You can do the thumbs up thing.
I'll do the thumbs up.
You can do thumbs up.
Well done.
You're both allowed to do thumbs up. OK, now, the reason I wanted to talk to the farmers today is obviously we've seen the recent protest up in Leicestershire where they were sort of in the tractors outside supermarkets trying to get them on board, which thankfully, you know, Asda and Morrison's are backing. But we're not hearing from the government on this at all, Mike. It's not going away. We've heard from Rob there that families are suffering.
Well, no, but you've heard from the government, and the government aren't going to change. They don't want to. They see farmers as rich landowners. God knows how, because most of the farmers I've known during my life work to live and live to work. They don't actually make any profit, but they're looking after the land in this country. 70% of the land in this country is not developed land, and a great percentage of that is farming land. And the farmers produce food and look after the land. They actually look after the green fields in this country. It's all very well to say, oh, well, you know, £1 million. Most farms are worth at least £1 million if you take into account the machinery that's there, that's needed, the investment, the fields, the worth of their land itself. And to say that they should pay tax on it, what they do is, and they have done this for centuries, not just generations, centuries, they hand it down to their children to keep running the farm. If they can't do that and they have to sell it and pay 20% tax, the land will probably go to an overseas investor. It will go to a big conglomerate. It will be held in trust. Trust don't pay income tax or inheritance tax because trusts are perpetual. They don't die. So the whole thing is a completely, utterly flawed scheme. We want food in this country. We want farmers to feel protected. We want them to feel loved by the rest of the country. The fact that Asda and Morrison's, two of our biggest supermarket chains, have recognised the value of farmers where the government can't, to me, says it all.
Absolutely, fair play to them. I mean, we have seen, Curtis, this happened in Australia where farmers have been forced off their land and China comes in and buys up huge swathes of the Australian country.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you're talking about capital flight overseas. That's something I actually agree with you. I don't like it when foreign entities, companies or states start buying up our stuff. I do want to draw a distinction, though, between farmland owners and farm workers. I think you're converging the two, because I stand up for farm workers. But if we look at the statistics...
Well, farm workers wouldn't be workers, excuse me, cutting in, unless there were farm owners. Somebody's got to run the farm, somebody's got to run the farm, and somebody's got to work on it. Yeah,
but obviously the tax is not going to hit the workers. So what I mean, so let me just lay this out straight. So it's 200. Those that pay the inheritance tax is 200 acres of farmland. That's equivalent to 100 football pitches. So the idea that these farmland owners are struggling, I think, is for the birds. Now you might say,
where's their wealth?
You might say that tax is then pushed onto the workers. And my response to that is, if farmland owners, who are, by the way, the inheritance tax is not 40%, it's 20%. It's the end of a tax break, and it's not even the full 40%. If they're going to push that onto the farmland workers, that tells me that the farmland owners don't have the farmland workers' interests. I understand. First of all, I completely support the right to strike. I'm consistent here, even if I disagree with these people. Good for them that they're standing up for what they believe in. But I think there is a slight false narrative that it's struggling people, when I don't think that's the case. Now, they can sell their land, or they can actually give it to their kids and they have to pay inheritance tax on it. What I'm saying is, I want to make sure that we have a sensible debate and we distinguish between the workers on the land and the farmland owners. I do not want to see. I do not.
Workers as well. They would say, you know,
they would, but it's not going to hit like those that are earning like £12,000 to £20,000 a year. They're not hit by that tax. It's those like Jeremy Clarkson, for example. I mean, he admitted that he bought some farmland just so he could evade taxes. He's not standing in the trenches with those workers, because if this tax goes through, he's going to say, well, I'm going to pass that cost onto the workers who work the farm. That doesn't seem very fair.
Clarkson, he was standing in the trenches. He was standing outside.
Farm workers will just go away and get a job somewhere else. I mean, I don't know why
is that true?
Of course it is. I don't know why you've brought farm workers into the equation. I've never heard farm workers being a part of this argument before.
Well, maybe we should do that. We should speak about the workers, because they're the ones that create the food. They're the ones that do most of the work.
Curtis,
so actually,
if there's no farm,
focused around these people.
If there's no farm, there won't be any farm workers. And there won't be a farm if it's sold to pay inheritance tax on a family who've been there for hundreds of years.
Who's doing the selling, though? So these farmland owners, if you're saying they're going
Family will have to sell to pay the tax to the government.
But again, it's 200 acres of farmland. It's 100 football pitches. That's massive. It's not a small
it's not
little
massive.
farm.
It's not massive.
It is very big.
Have you ever seen the size of a combine harvester?
I've seen some.
Believe me, a combine harvester could cover your 100 football pitches in about 3 minutes.
And
it's not
on
massive.
that bombshell,
Yeah.
I never thought we'd end up talking about combine harvesters.
I'm from Bristol. I hear it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what a combine harvester is. I'm from East London. No idea.